This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Electrician becomes St. Anne's first murder victim in 2022. The Garden Parish of St. Anne recorded its first murder for 2022 when an electrician was gunned down outside a shop in the community of Knapdale on Saturday. Dead is a 37-year-old Everett Duncan of Knapdale near Brownstown in the parish. Reports reaching the news are that about 12:30 p.m., Duncan was leaving a shop where he had earlier made a purchase when a motor car drove up. An armed man exited the vehicle and opened gunfire, hitting Duncan several times. The gunman then made his escape from the scene in the car. Duncan was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Investigations are ongoing. 22 vulnerable road users killed in 8 days, said RSU. 19 of the 22 people killed in 21 fatal traffic crashes between December 23 and 31 fell into the category classified as the most vulnerable road users by the Ministry of Transport's Road Safety Unit. The category is made up of pedestrians, motorcyclists, pedal cyclists, and pillion riders, and combined is responsible for 62% of the 482 people killed in motor vehicle crashes last year. Among the 22 people killed in the last week of 2021 were 8 pedestrians, 8 motorcyclists, 2 pedal cyclists, and 1 pillion rider, all belonging to the most vulnerable group. Also killed were 1 driver of a private motor car, the driver of a public passenger vehicle, and a passenger in a private motor car. Of the 22 deaths over the 8-day period, 2 were females, 1 were a passenger in a private motor car, while the other was a pedestrian. The youngest victim was a 15-year-old pedal cyclist who was hit by a Toyota Probox motor car at the intersection of Duhaney Drive and Washington Boulevard in St. Andrew about 5:26 p.m. on Christmas Eve. The oldest victim was an 81-year-old pedestrian who was hit by a gray Honda Accord motor car on Sunday, December 26, after reportedly walking into the path of the vehicle. Government urged to reimpose a mandatory work-from-home order. There are growing calls for the government to reimpose the mandatory work-from-home order for public sector workers, with the country now experiencing a 4th COVID wave. The work-from-home arrangement for the civil service ended on Friday, following an announcement by the Prime Minister. In an interview with the News, opposition spokesperson on Labour, Dr. Floyd Morris, said, based on the increase in the country's COVID-19 positivity rate, it is clear that public sector workers should continue working from home. We just started to see the signs of the 4th wave in Jamaica, and already we are at 34% of timing. So from a policy standpoint, there needs to be an urgent revisit by the Prime Minister and the government on the matter to make sure that individuals can continue to work from home and that the health and the security of the workers are taken into consideration. Prime Minister Andrew Holness last month said that there were concerns about loss of productivity due to the work-from-home measure. Morris says forcing workers to return into the office during a surge in cases could result in a further loss of productivity. If the Prime Minister is concerned about productivity and individuals are brought back into the workspace and contaminate the work environment, then productivity is going to decline anyway. So what needs to be done is for the necessary reporting mechanisms to be put in place so these individuals keep in touch with their supervisors and managers for accountability, he said. The Jamaica Civil Service Association says it has received the expressions of concern and complaints from government employees that they feel unsafe returning to the office as COVID-19 cases continue to rise. Meanwhile, Dr. Morris says continuous training is needed to help supervisors and managers better adjust to new work arrangements instituted in the public sector due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Blaine wants a national action plan to address the plight of children affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Child rights advocate Betty Ann Blaine is urging the government to quickly establish a comprehensive national plan of action to address what she said is the worsening chaos and the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the nation's children. Blaine, who is the founder of lobby group Hear the Children's Cry, said Prime Minister Andrew Holness must use the professional and material resources available to him to get this done. The plan, she said, must address not only health and education, but also the emotional well-being of the children and the social and the financial welfare of families. Here, the Children's Cry is calling for this comprehensive national plan of action as a matter of urgency in light of the deepening social crisis involving Jamaican children. Over the last 2 years, our children in every parish have been very negatively affected by the pandemic and the related measures to contain its spread. Their education has been interrupted and in many cases curtailed. Their safety has been cruelly compromised as child abusers have had almost an unlimited access to innocent victims. Their emotional state has suffered and their overall well-being greatly diminished, said Blaine in a statement on Saturday. Continuing, she said, "We are concerned about what has happened to children over the past 2 years, both what we do know and what we don't know. And what is of even greater concern is that we are leading into a new year with another COVID-19 variant spreading like wildfire, and we don't know what is going to happen." Noting that the youngest victims are usually the most vulnerable, the children's convener said it is vital that we get accurate information as to the nature and extent of the crisis as it relates specifically to children. She shared that Hear the Children's Cry has seen a significant increase in the calls coming in for assistance, mostly for material help for children and families. And Blaine said she was concerned about other types of reports in the media and otherwise involving children. She mentioned the media reports which have pointed to a significant increase in cases of sexual and other abuse of children during the pandemic and which may have likely forced some of them to take their own lives. Blaine also shared that reports from community leaders who work with Hear the Children's Cry are extremely concerning. "We are being told that many teenagers, far from keeping up with schoolwork online, have decided that they are finished with school. It is reported that they are hustling, seeking to earn money in whatever way possible. They are vending, working in wholesale shops, and on construction sites, among other income-earning activities. Many young girls can be seen on the streets pregnant or with young babies. Gambling and drug use are said to be rampant among these youngsters," said Blaine. "Our children are facing a worsening crisis that will bring unthinkable consequences to our country if not addressed with speed and with effective comprehensive measures. We call upon the Prime Minister to act now to save Jamaica's next generation before it's too late," she added. Case against the cop who allegedly hired hitman goes to circuit. A member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force who has been accused of hiring hitmen to murder a Clarendon man in June of last year has been remanded in custody, with the matter being transferred from the Clarendon Parish Court to the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston. The case was transferred after a Clarendon Parish Court judge ruled that the policeman and his 2 co-accused have a case to answer in relation to the matter. Police Constable Tafari Silvera and his co-accused Mark Bennett and Christopher Robinson are to appear in the High Court on January 19. Silvera was slapped with a charge of conspiracy to murder on June 18 after the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions ruled that he should be charged. Allegations are that the policeman hired Bennett and Robinson to carry out the hit in Clarendon. The murder attempt was made, but it was reportedly foiled. The 2 alleged hitmen, who are from St. Andrew addresses, were also booked for the offense of conspiracy to commit murder following their arrest. At the end of the recent committal hearing in the matter, Bennett and Robinson were also denied bail and remanded in custody. Jamaica records 528 new COVID-19 cases over the last 24 hours. Over the last 24 hours, Jamaica reported 528 new cases of COVID-19, but no virus-related deaths. This brings the total number of confirmed cases recorded on the island since the start of the pandemic to 95,177, and the death toll remains at 2,476. Of the newly reported cases, there were 312 females and 216 males. The cases were recorded as follows: Kingston and St. Andrew 274, St. Catherine 86, St. Thomas 34, St. Mary 25, St. James 17, Portland 16, Manchester 15, Westmoreland 14, St. Anne 12, Hanover and Clarendon 11 each, Trelawney 8 and St. Elizabeth 5. Meanwhile, the country also recorded 131 new recoveries, bringing the total number of recoveries to 65,813. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.